Good evening, greetings, and salutations. This is Passionate Bliss, and I am here for episodes 16, 17, 18 of Married at First Sight. The countdown to Decision Day. Decision Day will be the next and final episode. Okay, so I'm combining them all together. The couples do go on a retreat, and I would like to start off by singing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, because Devin has finally put himself out of his own misery and has dumped Caitlin, who is a misandrist. She is the first misandrist that I have ever seen and recognized on one of these shows like this. This lady has a contempt for men that is beyond compare. Devin has been suffering and in misery for 5 weeks, and he has finally ended it. The reason he finally ended it because for the first time ever, he saw what Caitlin looks like when she is interested in a man, when she is flirting with a man, when he saw her flirting with Mecca. Mecca was being flirty with her and she was giving it right back, and he was sitting outside watching it, and the people in the room with Devin were commenting about, wow, he's really giving her the riz or macking to her, whatever Caucasian term is for, flirting heavily with somebody else. That is what Mecca and she were doing without the words. It was all in the eye contact, the smiles, the body language, the special intimate look. A blind man could see that these two were flirting with each other without the words. So they could have plausible deniability, but they were doing it. This all happened after a game, and the question came up if there was somebody else mate that you could swap in the group, whose mate would you pick? Mecca, of course, who I clocked long ago, does not like black women. He picked the Asian woman who I said he was too affected by her answer, and then he goes and picks the white woman, Caitlin. I was joking last time when I said they need to put Mecca with Caitlin. Sure enough, Caitlin is who he picked. An average mid-white woman that don't like him, that would act like she don't like you in a relationship. Okay, so he goes out there, she pulls him out there to talk to him privately, and this is what Devin watches. He watches her show real interest, romantic, flirtatious interest in a man, and he blows his top. He loses it. He didn't disrespect her in any way, but she again started with her condescension and her nasty mouth, talked to him, telling him shut the F up. He cut her off, took her upstairs, ended it. Thank God. Because for the first time ever, he saw what she looks like when she want a man and his attention. And he ain't never seen that look for her. I seen her smiling at him. I seen her talking to him. I ain't never seen her flirt with him. I ain't never seen show one drop of interest in her. She had a whole cup full of interest for Mecca out there. And Bella did not read into it, did not play into it. She behaved as if she didn't see it. And she let it go. But thank God that saga is over. I don't have to see them no more on my TV. Okay, now so let's look at the other couples. Started out with Sean and Nikki, because Sean made a statement to her that in Seattle, where they are, she might be a 10, but in New York, where he's from, she would be a 7. And they seem to think that he believes he's a 10. I just can't imagine why he thinks he's a 10. He ain't even a 10 when Mecca's in the room. He ain't a 10 with Mecca out of the room. He's a 6 in Seattle and a 4 in New York. So I don't know what he's talking about. But this goes to show delusion. However, production made sure to circle back around to this statement again and let Sean explain himself. He said that she grabbed his belly fat and said, look at you. And then he said, well, you're not perfect. You a 10 in Seattle, but you a 7. So it was in response, one nasty comment, and he made a nasty comment back. That means he's a tit for tat man. That's detrimental to a relationship as well. However, luckily for the men on this show, the women on this show are all overachievers. And women who are overachievers, they don't like to fail. Failure is not something that they're okay with. They will see a problem, tackle it, work at it until they succeed. And that is benefiting the men this season. Because almost all of them got issues. But the women are compensating because they don't like to lose. And a relationship or marriage is not something you want to fail at. You want to succeed. And the men are reaping the benefits of this. For that reason, Nikki is still hanging in there with Sean. But she says, and it's evident that her attraction to him has grown, her affection, her fondness for him has grown, because he's had really a good 2 weeks with her. The last 2 weeks have been great. First 3 weeks, first 3 weeks with him was open warfare. The last 2 weeks she's had, this is the third, have been great. He went away and left her on the couples retreat. She missed him. And they were talking to each other frequently because she misses him. And she admits that. And when Connie Chung, little sister, tries to tell her, that they should value and respect themselves and not put up with this, she called BS on it and she told her off in her nice Sadiddy way. I said, very good. Get in her Chinese backside. She being Sadiddy up on her high horse, thinking she got it made in the shade with this man who I thought was going to bolt at the altar. And he made a 180. But, so Nikki checked her hard. And I think up until their last day together, Nikki was on a yes. She was sitting on a yes for him. But I think he just talked himself or nasty commented himself into a no. Sean was going to say a yes. I believe Nikki's going to give a no. Sean's going to give a yes. However, there is, I will say, maybe a 5% chance that Nikki will say yes, just because she's an overachiever and doesn't want to fail. And given her age, she may think that with counseling, they can make it. But Nikki should say no. Nikki should say no. I've given Sean the benefit of doubt this entire time. I still haven't seen any of his male friends. And he's still a suspect. On the homosexual plane, he's still a suspect. Because why you couldn't end on a good note without being catty with this lady? He asked her how she felt. She started to tell him he cut her off and told her she don't have to make a speech. And you think somebody want to be married to that? So Nikki should say no. And I think there's a high probability, I said it's a 95% chance she's going to say no. And he's going to say yes. Okay? I think that the couples having this one last conversation is something new that I haven't seen on Married at First Sight before. They have Felipe and his wife. They break up at the couples retreat the first night, get back together, then have a lovey-dovey rest of the week. His mother, he meets with her saying he don't know. She says yes, and his mother's never liked anybody else. Felipe ain't gonna get better than Tori. But he's claiming that he still wants to have all these, women, but then he doubled back down and said she's perfect, she's wonderful. And I think he's got her back around to a yes. Up until they pack up, they move out, they have this last meeting. She says he told her something that I noticed that she said, I really did like you, past tense. He presents her with flowers when she first arrives. And then I see at some point in the camera shot, the flowers are on the floor beside his feet. So she's thrown the flowers down on the floor. I believe he told Tori that he's cheated on her since they've been married. And that's right about the time he says, I like sleeping with women. I think that's about the time that he cheated on Tori. So Felipe is going to get dumped at the altar, and it's because he really didn't want to do it anyway. And my high suspicion, which they didn't mention, I believe that she cut that sex off after that lousy night with him, and she never cut it back on. And Felipe ain't about to marry her like that. And so I think they're both going to be a no on decision day. Who else? Adam and Marissa, they didn't have a dust up, and Marissa seems to be going along with it. He's trying to compromise with her. He's willing to move away from the water, which is a big deal for him because he loves living on that water, under that tarp. But he also wants to keep Marissa. He likes Marissa. And Marissa can say, oh, he's not getting to know me, and it's always what he wants to do. But I don't see Marissa asserting herself and asserting what she wants to do. And he'll compromise by moving to where she is, close to her job, if she'll join the gym with him and go to him, work out with him at the gym. And she gives a lackluster answer. You can't really tell whether she's against for that or against that. She's like, do you think it's too late to compromise? I don't know what Marissa is going to say, because Marissa does not express her true feelings. She does not express what she really wants. So I feel like she's going to say yes. I feel like Adam is going to say yes, because really they haven't had anything they haven't been able to get past. So I feel like Adam and Marissa are both going to say yes. This Chinese lady with this man, the tall white guy, Cameron, I think they're both going to say yes. They tried to imply at the end of the last episode that he might say no and he's really sorry, but I doubt that. He's very happy with that Chinese lady, and I think that they're gonna get married and they're gonna stay married. Who else was there? Mecca. Mecca, he goes ahead and reveals to the men that his attraction thing, he said that he likes women a little bit thicker than her. Mecca is a goddamn lie. Here again is the image of the white woman that came out and said that he was messing up her pH. Do you see big boobs on that lady? There's a basketball in the way, but I know a basketball can't hide big boobs. That lady ain't got no big boobs. They said, oh, maybe he couldn't claim that she ain't gonna get no bigger up here, up top. What are you talking about? He said, oh, I'd be too scared to rig up a boob job for her. And somebody said, oh, describe your ideal woman. And so he says thicker with big boobs. And somebody said, do you think she can become your ideal woman? He said, yes. My translation, he thinks after she have a baby or two, she gonna get thicker. Her boobs gonna get full of milk. And then she gonna be perfect for him. You know. But he's an idiot. And I think it's really just because his preference is white women, Asian women, any women that aren't black women. So I'm not buying it from Mecca. This is a bunch of bull because he don't like black women. However, I do also think that Mecca sees how amazing she is. She is absolutely amazing inside and out, no matter what he's saying. And she's perfect for him. And I think he realizes that as well. And so I feel like even though she's not his preference, she has become his preference because of the quality of her character and her personality and the fact that she's just amazing. And she gets him and accepts him and adores him, and he knows that. And I do think that he loves her as well, but she's not his preference. And he's always going to feel like he's settling for her. And I think Bella deserves more than that. I believe Bella should say no. However, she's going to say yes. Because he's doing his best to persuade her. He's still saying he's going to say yes, and I want you to say yes. She's not going to walk away from that. Bella's going to say yes. Mecca's going to say yes. Okay. Who else do we have? Is that everybody? If it ain't, there's nobody else I care about. So those are my predictions. Let me know what you think. What are your predictions? And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe. Y'all have sweet dreams. Wait to find them real.